Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, University of Dammam, Deanship of E-Learning and Distance Learning, College of Applied Studies and Community Service. This is the English course, and again I'm back to you, Mazen Al-Kibriti. So, this is lecture number 3, and before we start, let's talk about what we studied in the first two lectures. In the first two lectures we talked about many things, we discussed many things, we explained many things. So what we talked about in the last two lectures, in lecture 1 and lecture 2, we talked about the basics of English. We talked about parts of speech, like nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and so on. We also talked about verb be and how to use the verb be in the present simple. We also talked about articles and how to use the articles. We also discussed nouns and types of nouns. We have plural and singular nouns. We have countable and uncountable nouns. And today, inshallah, we will start with the book. ما ناقشناه في المحاضرات السابقة هي الأساسيات الضرورية في اللغة الإنجليزية، مثل أقسام الكلام وأفعال الكون والأسماء بأنواعها المعدودة وغير المعدودة وأدوات التنكير والتعريف، وقمنا بعمل مقدمة بسيطة عن الحاضر البسيط باستخدام فعل الكون أو أفعال الكون، وهي ثلاثة الأفعال الكون في الزمان الحاضر البسيط، وهي is and are. And inshallah today we will start with the book. So if you have the book, I hope that you have the book in front of you. inshallah يكون الكتاب أمامكم. So because we need to start with it today. So this is lecture 3, the beginning of this lecture. We will talk about all the units of this book. As you can see, we have lots of units in this book. We have 12 units, as you can see, 12 units talking about different topics. 12 وحدة تتحدث كل منها عن موضوع معين، وهي مواضيع متنوعة. The aim of those different topics is to learn more vocabulary. الهدف من هذه الوحدات المتنوعة والعناوين المتنوعة أيضا هي كسب مفردات جديدة تتعلق بكل موضوع، فكل موضوع تندرج تحته مفردات يمكن أن نتعلمها إن شاء الله عند دراستنا لكل وحدة. So as you can see, the first unit, making friends, unit 2, interests, unit 3, health, 4, celebrations, 5, growing up, 6, around town, 7, going away, 8, at home, 9, things happen, 10, communication, 11, appearance, 12, looking ahead. And today we'll start with unit 1, which is making friends. What is this unit? What does it talk about? It's clear from the heading, making friends. So, unit 1, making friends. What does it mean to make a friend, or to make a friend in general? To make a friend, it means to have a new friend. كسب أصدقاء، التعرف على أصدقاء جدد. So يمكن ترجمتها التعرف على الأصدقاء. Making friends. This is unit 1, and we need to learn lots and lots of words concerning making friends and how to make friends, or how to communicate with the new friends، كيفية التواصل مع الأصدقاء الجدد، كيفية التعارف وإلى آخره من هذه المحادثات. So, making friends. We have different lessons. We have A, B, C, D. All of these 4 are lessons. Lesson A In lesson A we will learn how to use the simple present and present of be. في الدرس الأول الدرس ألف سنتحدث عن الحاضر البسيط، الزمن الحاضر البسيط، والزمن الحاضر البسيط باستخدام فعل الكون أو أفعال الكون الثلاثة، والتي قد تحدثنا عنها في المحاضرات السابقة. We talked about a present simple or present of be. We talked how to use all the verbs of be and what are the uses of those verbs. So this is lesson A. In lesson A also we will talk about we will learn how to talk about yourself. If somebody asks you, tell me about yourself, talk about yourself, what to say, how to talk about your family. Maybe you want to know something about the family of your friend, of your new friend. Maybe you want to know your favorite things, you want to know the favorite things of your friend. So when we want to make friends we need to know some information. يعني عند التعرف على أصدقاء جدد يجب أن نعرف بعض المعلومات عن هؤلاء الأصدقاء، مثل المعلومات الشخصية، العائلة، ممكن الأشياء المفضلة، الأشياء المحببة، الهوايات، so on, etc. So this is all in lesson A. The unit is divided into different lessons. In lesson B we will learn how to give responses with to and either. To and either. So we have a grammar lesson here. قواعد لغة إنجليزية، قواعد تتعلق بكيفية إعطاء رد response، كيفية الرد response، how to respond using باستخدام to and either. How do we use to and either? So in lesson B, this is lesson B. Lesson C, we use actually, how to use actually, this word actually, to give or correct information. كيفية استخدام كلمة actually في الحقيقة to give information، لإعطاء معلومات، or to correct information أو لتصحيح معلومات. So this is lesson C, this part of the lesson. The last lesson, lesson D, how to start a conversation with someone you don't know. If you meet someone for the first time, how to communicate with this person, what do you say to that person, how to ask questions to this new friend, to this person that you don't know. كيفية طرح أسئلة والحصول على معلومات من أشخاص لا نعرفهم، أشخاص نقابلهم للمرة الأولى. ما هي الأسئلة، ما هي المعلومات التي ممكن أن نحصل عليها وكيفية السؤال عنها. So this is what we will learn in lesson D. This is lesson D. Okay, the first one, now we will go back to lesson A, the lesson that we will start with. We'll start with lesson A and we will talk about the simple present. Simple present tense، الزمن الحاضر البسيط. Okay, so we'll go to the next page. The usages of the present simple. When do we use a present simple? So this is a big question, very important question، سؤال هام جدا. When do we use present simple? في أي الحالات نستخدم الزمن الحاضر البسيط؟ هناك حالات معينة. There are specific cases to use simple present, this tense، وهو من أحد أهم الأزمنة. الزمن الحاضر البسيط من أحد أهم الأزمنة في اللغة الإنجليزية. One of the most used and most common tense in the English language. من أحد أكثر الأزمنة شيوعا في اللغة الإنجليزية. So what are the usages of this tense, the simple present? Okay, let's see the first use of this tense. So use 1, repeated actions. What does it mean? Repeated actions, actions that you do again and again and again. So something that is repeated, maybe something that you do every day. So this is called, this kind of action is called repeated action or we have here repeated actions, all the actions that are repeated, that happen, all the actions that happen again and again and again, every day, every week, every year, maybe every weekend. So those are called repeated actions. So we use present simple for those actions. Use number 2. The use number 2, facts or generalizations. الحقائق أو التعميمات. When you generalize, نطلق تعميما على شيء ما. Okay? While the first one, repeated actions, الأفعال المتكررة. Repeated actions. Facts هي الحقائق, while generalization, when you make something general, when you generalize, you make a generalization, so it means تعميمات. نطلق تعميمات على أشياء معينة، على مفاهيم معينة، أو على شعوب معينة أو بلدان معينة. So, what are repeated actions? What are facts or generalization? In the next page we will find out what they mean. So, the first one, repeated actions. We will start with this one, repeated actions. So, use the simple present to express the idea that an action is repeated or usual. نستخدم الزمن الحاضر البسيط لنعبر عن شيء أو عن فكرة أو عن عمل متكرر أو شيء يحدث بشكل اعتيادي، بشكل غالب، بشكل يشكل عادة. The action can be، ممكن أن تكون هذا الفعل ممكن يكون a habit, a hobby, a daily event, a scheduled event, something that often happens. So we have a number of repeated actions. What do they mean? A habit. What does it mean? A habit, something that you do regularly, something that you do often. For example, I have a habit of drinking coffee every morning. So every morning I drink coffee, or I drink coffee every morning. Other people may have another habit. Maybe other people, for example, we can say he, maybe we are talking about someone, maybe Sam, Ahmad, or anybody. So he likes to go to the beach every Friday. He likes to go to the beach every Friday. So he goes to the beach every Friday. So this is a habit. عادة. هو يذهب إلى الشاطئ كل يوم جمعة. So this is a habit. The other one, a hobby. A hobby, for example, what if someone asks you, what is your hobby? Or what is your favorite hobby? For example, you can say, my favorite hobby is watching TV or playing football for guys. Maybe you have another hobby. So these are called هوايات. A hobby, هواية. Hobbies, هوايات. Number 3, a daily event. A daily event, daily from day. Daily, it happens every day. It happens every day. Daily from day. So a daily event, حدث يومي. So something that happens every day. So maybe, for example, our class starts at 8 o'clock every morning. So this is a daily event. So تبدأ الحصة كل يوم الساعة 8. So this is a daily event. حدث يومي. It happens every day. So number 4, a scheduled event. A scheduled event يعني حدث مجدول. Schedule هو something like timetable أو شيء مجدول، أي محدد بتاريخ معين. So for example, the exam is on the 13th of January, for example. So الامتحان is on the 13th of January. امتحان يوم 13 من شهر يناير. So this is a scheduled event. مجدول محدد بتاريخ معين. So we call it a scheduled event. The last one, something that often happens. Something that often happens. شيء يحدث بشكل متكرر أو ممكن نقول بشكل غالب. So maybe we will see the example on the next page about this one and about all the things that we talked about. So it can also be something a person often forgets. So I can say I forget to he forgets to bring his book to the class. He forgets to bring his book to the class. So this is something that often happens. شيء يحدث بشكل مستمر. هو ينسى إحضار كتابه إلى الفصل. So something that often happens or usually does not do. Usually does not do. So maybe something that a person does not do. شيء ما لا يفعله شخص ما. For example, he does not eat rice. He does not eat rice. هو لا يأكل الأرز. So usually does not do. So he usually do this usually. He doesn't do eat rice at all. So let's have more examples. More examples about those actions, about repeated actions. So here we have the examples. Let's start with the first one. So before we have the examples we can see the structure. تركيبة الجملة باستخدام هذا الزمن. نبدأ بالفاعل subject ثم الفعل verb وهو محط اهتمام في هذا الزمن. نركز كثيرا على الفعل the verb, the main focus of this tense, plus object المفعول به or complement تكملة الجملة. So this is the structure. هذه بنية الجملة في الزمن الحاضر البسيط. So if we start with the first example, I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning. I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning. So is it a habit? Is it a hobby? Is it a daily event? Is it what? So I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning. It's a habit. عادة. I do it every day. I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning. So if we go to the structure, let's compare the structure of this sentence with this structure that we have here on the top with the green here in green. It's in green. So I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning. So I the subject أنا الفاعل. I wake is a verb. Do we have an object? هل يوجد مفعول به? No, we don't have an object in this sentence, so we have a complement. تكملة الجملة I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning. The second example, Ahmed plays football on weekends. Ahmed plays football on weekends. And we will talk about the rule for the S. When do we add S? We will talk about it later. So Ahmed plays football on weekends. يلعب أحمد كرة القدم في أيام عطلة الأسبوع. So Ahmed is a subject, the verb is plays, and the object, what does he play? He plays football. So the object is football, and this is the complement. The rest of the sentence بقية الجملة. Okay, the train leaves at 8 a.m. every morning. The train leaves at 8 a.m. every morning. يغادر القطار كل يوم يغادر القطار عند الساعة 8 at 8 a.m. every morning كل صباح. So this is a daily event. This is a daily event. حدث يومي. While this is a hobby. This is a hobby. This is Ahmed's hobby. And this is daily event. And this is a habit. The next example, the morning class starts at 9 o'clock. The morning class فصل الصباح يبدأ عند الساعة 9. So This is another daily event. Sam always forgets to brush it should be his teeth. Sam always forgets to brush his teeth before sleeping. إذن سام دائما ينسى أن يفرش أسنانه قبل النوم. So this is something that he always forgets. It happens always, دائما. So always means دائما. So those are the examples. Again, here we have a habit, عادة. The second example, we have a hobby. Then we have a daily event. Then we have a daily event, another daily event, or a scheduled event, we can call it. The last one, something that a person usually or often or always forgets. Okay, this is the end of this page. Now we will move to talk about something else. Before we move to talk about something else, we still have an example that I forgot. He does not drink coffee. He does not drink coffee. This is something that a person does not do. He does not drink coffee. So this is something that he does not do. شيء لا يفعله غالبا. So he usually does not drink coffee. هو غالبا لا يشرب القهوة. He does not drink coffee. هو لا يشرب القهوة. Okay. Now the next slide, the next page. Okay. Here we go. The use number 2, facts or generalizations. Facts or generalizations, as we said, حقائق وتعميمات. So, a fact is something that is always true. الحقيقة هي شيء دائما صحيح. Whether it is in the past, before, in the past, whether it is in the present, في الوقت الحاضر, or in the future. It's always true. Fact. So, we use the present symbol to talk about universal truth. For example, laws of nature or things we believe are true. إذا نستخدم الزمن الحاضر البسيط للتحدث عن حقائق كونية لا جدل فيها. Something that we cannot say this is not true. So we use the simple present for such things, and we will have examples after a second. Or things أو أشياء we believe are true. أو أشياء نؤمن بأنها صحيحة. We believe are true. Maybe not all people believe they are true, but we believe that those things are true. يعني مو كل الناس ضرورة تؤمن إنها صحيحة، ولكن بعض الناس تؤمن بأنها صحيحة. So the next thing is it is also used to make generalization about people or things. For example, people in Africa do not go to school a lot. People in Africa do not go to school a lot. So الأفارقة لا يذهبون إلى المدارس بشكل كبير. So this is a generalization. We generalize every people or every person in Africa with this generalization. أطلقنا التعميم على جميع الأشخاص في أفريقيا. This is a generalization, so we use a present symbol. Let's have something else. Let's have the examples. Before we have the examples, let's see the grammar points. There is a grammar point that we need to take care of. We have to focus on. When we talk about the third person or the singular third person, if you remember in the last lecture when we talked about the third person, إذا تذكرون في المحاضرة السابقة لما تكلمنا عن الثird person وهو الشخص الغائب المفرد. When we talk about شخص غائب مفرد, we have a rule. Okay, well, for example, he, she, or it, when we have them in the sentence, in the third person singular, the verb always ends in s. So we add s to the verb when we have in a sentence he, she, or it. When the subject is he, she, or it, we add s to the verb. So, for example, Ahmed wants a pen. This is the first example. As you can see, Ahmed is a singular, one person, and he is third person because he is not here. Third person, person number 3, هو غائب, غير موجود. Ahmed wants a pen. Ahmed يريد قلما. So this is the first example. We can say he wants a pen. هو يريد قلما. He wants a pen. So he replaces Ahmed. As we said, a pronoun can replace a noun. So he replaces Ahmed. This is the first part of the examples. So now we are talking about a girl. A girl. She needs water. She needs water. Or Sarah needs water. The first one, Sarah needs water. Then we replace the noun, which is Sarah, with she. So she needs water, or Sarah needs water. In both cases, if we have a noun or a pronoun, we add s because we have the third person and it is singular. ضمير مفرد للشخص الغائب، أو نتحدث عن third person، عن شخص غائب. The third group of examples: My cat likes milk. قطتي تحب الحليب. My cat likes milk, or it likes milk. So here we replaces my cat with it because the cat is an animal. It's not a human. So we say it likes milk. Okay, this is the end of this grammatical point, so don't forget to add s to the end of the verb when we talk about third person or singular third person. شخص غائب وهو مفرد. شخص مفرد غائب. So we add s to the verb. Now we will have examples about the facts. If you remember the facts before 2 slides. So now we'll have an example. And as you can see here, we add to the verb s or es. S or es. We add to the verb according to the same rules that we talked about of adding the s. So we have the subject, the verb, s or es, plus the object or the complement. So the sun rises in the east. This is a fact. حقيقة علمية, universal truth or scientific truth. The sun rises in the east. تشرق الشمس من الشرق. So the sun rises in the east. This is the first fact, the first example. And as you can see, if you compare to the structure that we have here, the subject is the sun, the verb is rises, and we added s, only s. We added s to rise, and in the east is the rest of the sentence. The other fact that we have here: water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Water boils, تغلي المياه. Water boils. Here, as you can note, we added s. We added s because we are talking about a fact, and water is something that we treat as it. So water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. تغلي المياه عند درجة حرارة تبلغ 100. وهذا هي حقيقة أخرى. This is another fact. Fact number 3. Maybe you can find it funny. Elephants don't fly. Of course, there is no elephant that can fly. So elephants don't fly. They cannot fly. So elephants don't fly. All the elephants in the world do not fly. So this is another fact, maybe a funny fact. Now in the second part of the examples, we have generalizations. When we make a generalization نطلق تعميم على شيء ما. So here we have two examples. The first example, USA is a nice country. So this means all of the United States of America, all of it is nice. All of the states, جميع الولايات، هذا الكلام يعني أن جميع الولايات nice، جميلة، أو هو بلد جميل، فيعني أنه كل شيء في هذا البلد جميل. Maybe this is not true. So this is a generalization. أطلقنا تعميم على جميع الولايات المتحدة. So in the second example, China is a crowded country. China is a crowded country. الصين بلد مزدحمة. So this is another generalization. Maybe some people say it's a fact. هي حقيقة. But maybe in some parts of China it's not crowded. So this is another generalization that we have. Okay, so now we are done with the examples about all the facts, all the generalization. Now let's move to the next one, the next slide. In the next slide we have another use. We use simple present also. نستخدم الزمن الحاضر البسيط to give instructions or directions. To give instructions and directions. What does that mean? نستخدم الحاضر البسيط لإعطاء توجيهات وأوامر. أوامر أو توجيهات. Instructions and directions. What does that mean? For example, if I say do your homework. قوموا بحل واجباتكم. Do your homework. So I'm giving you an order. أعطي توجيه أو أمر. So this is another way to use present simple. Let's see the example. When I, for example, ask you open the door, as you can see we can use present simple. And the second example, as I said, the same example, do your homework. قوموا بحل واجباتكم. The next one, take bus number 11 to Manchester. Now I'm giving directions. أعطي توجيه. Maybe someone is asking me, how do I get to Manchester? كيف أصل إلى Manchester? I can answer, take bus number 11 to Manchester. So it means استقل الحافلة رقم 11 إلى Manchester. So you can take bus number 11 to Manchester. So this is also another use for the simple present. Let's continue with the present simple. We have lots of details about the present simple and the ways of using this tense. Another use for this tense, we use it to express fixed arrangements. What does it mean, fixed arrangements? Arrangements in the present or future. Let's see the example, then we will explain. دعونا نرى المثال ثم نشرح. Your exam starts at 9. Your exam starts at 9. يبدأ امتحانكم الساعة 9. Your exam starts at 9. So this is a fixed arrangement. هذا ترتيب ثابت. ترتيب لموعد ثابت. So it doesn't change. It will start at 9. So your exam starts. Maybe it is next week. ربما يكون الأسبوع القادم في المستقبل. But because it's a fixed arrangement, لأنه ترتيب أو موعد ثابت, we use the present simple. The second example, the bell rings at 8. The bell rings at 8. يرن الجرس الساعة 8. This is another fixed arrangement. It doesn't change. لا تتغير. Number 3, the example number 3, the bus arrives at 7 o'clock. تصل الحافلة الساعة 7. So again we have an arrangement and it's fixed. So maybe in the UK the bus arrives, or this bus that we are talking about a specific bus, حافلة محددة. So it arrives at 7 a.m. So this is another fixed arrangement. Now in this slide I will tell you how to add es to verbs, when to add es to verbs. So sometimes I said we add s, sometimes we add es. So when do we add es to the verbs? Especially we said we add es to the verbs when we have singular third person. نقوم بإضافة s or es عندما يكون عندنا مفرد غائب، مفرد غائب. So we add es when we have the verbs which end in إذا كان الفعل منتهي ب x, like fix, the last letter is x, so we add es. So he fixes, he fixes. This is the first case. Number two, when we have the last sound or the last two letters are sh, or the last sound of the word is sh, sh. So it becomes it pushes. So we add es to this word. The next example, when we have double s, like pass. So he passes. Maybe he passes a ball. Okay, he's playing football and he passes. يمرر. Okay, so he passes. We add also es. The next example, ch. She catches. So ch, the last sound is ch. Catch. Ch. She catches. So we also add es. The last case, when we have o, like go or do, go and do, both of those verbs have o at the end. So he goes, we add es, and he does, she does, it goes, and so on. So those are the sounds that we add es after them when we have them at the end of verbs. Verbs when we use singular third person. مفرد غائب. So those are the examples. Keep them in your mind, and let's move to the next slide, the next page. We have now more examples about words or third person singular with s or es. So the first example, he goes to school every morning. So with this verb, what did we do? Did we add es or s? Yes, we added es because go is only go, and because we have he and it is a present symbol, he goes to school every morning. This is something that happens every day, so we add es because the last sound or the last letter is o. B, example B, she understands English. So here we added only s because the last sound is d, and d is not of the sound or the letters that we add es after. So she, singular, third person, so she understands English. Example C, it mixes the sand and the water. It mixes the sand and the water. تقوم, maybe you are talking about a machine. آلة تقوم بخلط الرمال مع المياه. It mixes the sand and the water. So here we have the last letter or the last sound is x, so we add es. Example D, he tries very hard. هو يحاول بجهد أو بجد, very hard. So he tries. The original verb was try with y, try, but we changed it, the y we changed it into I, then we added es, and we will talk about this rule in the next slide. سنتحدث إن شاء الله عن هذه القاعدة، متى نقلب الواي في نهاية الفعل إلى I ثم نضيف es. So here we changed y into I. قمنا بقلب حرف الواي الذي كان في الفعل الأصلي, which was try, T-R-Y. We changed it into I and then we added es. So this is a example which is done. The next example, she enjoys playing the piano. She enjoys playing the piano. So as you can note here, we have a Y here, but we didn't change it into I, and we didn't add es like what we did with the try. So what is the reason? ما هو السبب؟ لماذا لم نقوم بقلب الواي إلى I وإضافة es? We will explain it inshallah in the next page, in the next slide. So هي تستمتع بالعزف على آلة البيانو. So she enjoys singular third person. Let's go to the next slide. In this slide, verbs ending in y. So now we will discuss the verbs that end in y, الأفعال التي تنتهي بحرف y ويكون عندنا في الجملة شخص غائب. We changes, okay, or it changes, the third person changes, and we change the y to ies. So let's have the examples. Fly, we have a fly here. When we have a third person, singular third person, for example he or it or she, we have to change the y. We change it into ies. So fly, it becomes flies. He flies, she flies, and it flies. The next example, cry. So يبكي, cry, while a fly it means يطير. Cry, يبكي, it becomes cries. She cries very much, and he cries very little. Now we have an exception. The exception is when we don't change the y. When we don't change the y. The rule is, if there is a vowel before the y, we don't change it. إذا كان عندنا حرف صوتي قبل الواي التي تقع في نهاية الكلمة, we don't change the y. What are the vowels? Do you remember the vowels? We have, in the English, we have 5 vowels: A, E, I, O, and U. If they come, if one of them, أحدهم, إذا أتى قبل الحرف الأخير الذي إذا كان Y في الأفعال, we don't change Y into I. So, for example, play, as you can see, the last letter is Y. This is the last letter, Y, play. But the letter before A is a vowel. So, we don't change it. So, it becomes plays, يلعب. Another example, pray, يصلي. Again, the same thing, Y, and before it we have A, and A is a vowel, so pray and praise. Okay, so again, let me repeat this, let me explain it again. So when we have a third person, singular third person, مفرد غائب, in the sentence, and the verb والفعل كان ينتهي بحرف Y, نقلب الواي, نغيرها أو نبدلها إلى I ونضيف ES. إذن عندنا حالة استثنائية لا نقوم بتغيير الواي, وهي عندما تسبق الواي بحرف صوتي. يسبق حرف صوتي الواي التي تقع في نهاية الكلمة أو نهاية الفعل, to be more specific. Okay, I hope you understood this. Okay, now we will talk about yes/no questions using verb be. How to form questions using verb be. So in the present simple we have 2 kinds of questions. One of them is yes/no question. So what does it mean, a yes/no question? What does it mean? So yes/no questions means that the answer of the question starts with yes or no. عندما يكون عندنا أسئلة نعم أو لا يكون هذا يعني أن نوع هذا السؤال يتطلب إجابة تبدأ بنعم أو لا, yes or no. So how to form this question using verb be. كيف نقوم بتشكيل سؤال, كيف نقوم بتكوين سؤال باستخدام أفعال الكون. Let's see together. Let's start talking about this. So the answer to the question is yes or no. So it should start with yes or no. So here we have a sentence. This sentence has a verb be. This sentence has a verb be. So the verb be here, okay, Sam is a student. This has a verb be. So how do we change this sentence into a question? What we do, we only switch the places of the subject and the verb. نقوم بتبديل أماكن أو مواضع الفاعل مع الفعل. So it becomes is Sam a student? So we changed is from this place and it becomes in the first place. So it becomes in the first place. So is the first word. Is Sam a student? هل سام طالب? هل سام طالب? So as you can see at the end we have a question mark. So you should end the question with a question mark. يجب إنهاء السؤال بعلامة استفهام. So how to answer such kind of a question? كيف نقوم بالإجابة عن مثل هذه الأنواع من الأسئلة? So as we said, we start the answer with yes or no. After that we have something to add. So is Sam a student? هل سام طالب؟ Yes, if yes إذا كان الإجابة نعم, yes he is. So the pronoun that we use here is he, because he replaces Sam. Sam is a male, is a guy, he's a man. So he, yes, he is. So this is for the case of yes, عندما تكون الإجابة نعم. Or أو if we want to say no, maybe he is not a student. So no, he isn't. No, he isn't. If you remember from the last lecture when we talked about contractions, الاختصارات أفعال الكون عند في حالة النفي. So here in the case of no, we say no, he isn't, or no, he's not. No, he isn't, or no, he's not. The next example, they are smart. هم أذكياء. They are smart. هم أذكياء. So when we want to change it into a question, as we said before, we switch the places of those two words. We switch the verb with the subject. So are becomes the first word. Are they smart? هل هم أذكياء? Are they smart? So the answer is yes, they are, and we used here are because of they. We said with they we use are. Yes, they are, or أو no, they aren't. So again here we use a contraction, اختصار. So yes, they are, or no, they aren't. Or we can say they're not. The other contraction, الشكل الآخر من الاختصار هو they're not. They're not, or they aren't, as we have here in the example. The next one, we are neighbors. We are neighbors. نحن جيران. We are neighbors. So here, as we said earlier, we change the places again. So are we neighbors? هل نحن جيران? The answer is yes, we are. We add the subject, the same subject. Yes, we are, or no, we aren't. This is the contraction form. Or we can say no, we're not. No, we're not. There is something else that I need to tell you about before we go to the next slide. It's about using contractions. So we only use contractions. نستخدم الاختصارات في حالة النفي فقط, when we say no. For example, here we use the contraction, but here when we say yes, don't use contractions. لا نستخدم الاختصارات عندما نجاوب بنعم. So don't say he, yes, he's, or yes, there, or yes, we're. No, we don't say that. لا نستخدم الاختصارات في حالة الإثبات. في حالة عندما نقول yes, when we say yes, we don't use contractions. We only use negative contractions here with negative. We can use contractions, we can use it without contractions. So it's up to you. يعود الخيار لكم. ممكن في حالة النفي اختيار استخدام الاختصارات أو عدم استخدامه. هذا الشيء يرجع لكم. But in the case of affirmative, في حالة الإثبات, when we say yes, we don't use contractions. So it's wrong to use contractions when we say yes. يعني من الخطأ استخدام الاختصارات في حالة عندما نجاوب بنعم. Okay, I hope it's clear. Now let's go and continue. Now we will do an exercise. We will do this exercise together. The question is, change the following sentences into questions. You have to change the following sentences into questions. عليكم بتغيير أو تحويل الجمل التالية إلى أسئلة. We use the same way. So, let's test your understanding. Let's check your understanding. نختبر فهمكم للقواعد التي قمنا بشرحها. So, the first one, you are a naughty student. You are a naughty student. أنت طالب مشاغب. Number two, this is my new car. هذه سيارتي الجديدة. أحمد and Ali are your friends. أحمد وعلي هم أصدقائك. Number four, we are in Sam's house. نحن في منزل سام. Number five, I am noisy. I am noisy. It means أنا مزعج. So I hope I'm not noisy. Okay, now you can stop the video. يمكنكم إيقاف عرض الفيديو for a minute, and then you can, after you finish changing those sentences into questions, we can check the answers together. So, number one, if you are ready, now we can check the answers. Number one, you are a naughty student, so we have to replace you or change or switch the places of you with are. So it becomes, are you a naughty student? هل أنت طالب مشاغب? Number two, is this my new car? So again we switched the places. Is this my new car? Then number three, are. So here we have two subjects in this sentence, Ahmed and Ali. So we have two subjects. So we bring are to the beginning. From here to the beginning, are Ahmed and Ali your friends? هل أحمد وعلي أصدقائك? Number four, are we in Sam's house? Again we replace places. And the last one, am I noisy? Am I noisy? So this is the exercise. I hope it is easy for you. Now in the next page we will talk about how to make negative. So with negative, if you have verb to be, we only add not. If we have a verb to be in the sentence, for example, Sam is a student. If you want to make it negative, we say Sam isn't or is not a student. So we only add not when we have verb be. يعني في حالة أفعال الكون وجودها في الجملة نضيف فقط not بعد فعل الكون. So is becomes is not or isn't. So Sam isn't a student or is not a student. While we have other cases. In the cases of do and does, when do we use do and does? متى نقوم باستعمال هذين الفعلين do or does? We have some rules. We use do and does in present simple. We use do with I, you, we, they. So we use it with first person, second person, المتكلم والمخاطب I, you, we, they. Okay, and with plural we also use it with the plural. نستخدمها مع الجمع. do نستخدمها مع الجمع. So we have I, you, we, and they. And let's start with an example to make it clear. And before we take the example, we have does. Does here we use it with, as we said, with other cases. We use it with he, she, and it. We use it with singular third person. الضمير المفرد الغائب مع الأشخاص الغائبين عندما يكونوا في حالة المفرد. So let's start. They, so we start with they here. They study at home. They study at home. هم يدرسون في المنزل. So as you can say, this is a verb, regular verb, but you might ask, where is do? Where is do? Why we didn't use do? إذن هنا في فرق بين الحالتين. عندما يكون عندنا فعل كون is حالة مختلفة عن هذه الحالة. Here we don't have verb to be. ليس عندنا فعل كون. We have main verb, فعل رئيسي واحد, study, which is a study. They study at home. So this is the main verb. So in order to make it negative, لتبديل الصفة المثبتة إلى للتبديل بين الإثبات والنفي, we have to use do. نستخدم do. وذلك بالطريقة نتحدث عنها لاحقا. And here for does we have Ahmed works at office. As you can see, we add s here to the verb because we said with singular third person we add s because we have Ahmed. He's singular and he is third person. He is غاب. Okay, so Ahmed works at office. So again we don't have does. So in affirmative في حالة الإثبات لا نستخدم do or does. This is one of the important rules. So if you want to change into negative this sentence, we go back to the first sentence. They do not study at home. So we have to add do and not في حالة الاستفهام in the negative form before the verb. So they don't or do not study at home. So what we did, we added do and not before the verb. If we go to the next side, to the right hand side of the screen, we can see that we have the same rule. We added does and not before the verb. But there is something else here. هناك شيء آخر عدا عن إضافة does and not. قمنا بحذف اس الزمن المضارع أو الزمن الحاضر البسيط. We deleted the s. Why? The reason is when we use does with a verb, if this verb has an s, we mean the present simple s, we delete it. القاعدة هي عندما نستخدم does مع فعل ويكون هذا الفعل منتهي بs الزمن الحاضر البسيط نقوم بحذف s فيعود الفعل إلى شكله الأصلي. Okay, so this is how we make negative. So again we add do not or does not according to the subject. وفقا أو اعتمادا على الفاعل نضيف do not أو does not قبل الفعل. Okay, but how we make questions؟ عندما يكون عندنا هذه الجملة لا يوجد فعل كون or is or are, we don't have a verb to be in the sentence, so what do we do? So in this case, let's see what do we do. So we add do at the beginning. So they study at home, they study at home, the same, but we add do at the beginning. So do they study at home؟ هل هم يدرسون في المنزل؟ Okay, so in those two cases في هاتين الحالتين حالة النفي وحالة السؤال do قام بدور الفعل المساعد auxiliary verb or helping verb, because do here helps study. يساعد هنا قام بفعل عمل فعل مساعد لمساعدة الفعل study على التعبير عن النفي, while here do is helping or helps study to make a question. يساعد الفعل study لتشكيل سؤال. So again, if we want to make negative, we add do not or does not before the verb, but if we want to make a question, we add only do before the subject at the beginning of the sentence. So again, if you see do at the beginning of any question, and how we do know questions by question marks, so this is another yes no question. سؤال يحتاج إلى إجابة بنعم أو لا. We will talk about this in details. On the right hand side, if we go back to the right hand side, does أحمد work at office؟ هل يعمل أحمد في المكتب؟ So what we did here also, we added does at the beginning. أحمد works at office. Does أحمد work at office? And don't forget to add the question mark. لا تنسوا إضافة علامة الاستفهام في نهاية كل سؤال. So those are the last two. Do they study at home and does أحمد work at office? Both of them كلاهما سؤالين يحتاجان إلى إجابة بنعم أو لا. So when you see do or does at the beginning of a question, it's yes no question. When you see a verb to be فعل كون at the beginning of a question في بداية سؤال, it means it's yes no question. Okay. So now we'll have the form. We will have all the forms of verb present simple using the verb work or to work. So let's see this table that we have. It shows you all the forms of the present simple. We'll start with affirmative حالة الإثبات, interrogative حالة الاستفهام, questions, asking questions, or interrogative حالة الاستفهام, negative نفي when we say no. So if we start with the first one, I work, you work, he, she, or it works. So he works, she works, it works. We work, you work. So only we add s with those three cases. في حالة السؤال, do I work, do you work, does he work, does she work, does it work, do we work, and do you work. Again, if we come back here, we can note يمكننا ملاحظة أننا قمنا بحذف الاس من نهاية الفعل الأساسي, the main verb, الفعل الرئيسي في الجملة, because that we added does at the beginning. The third case, when we have negative form, we use do not or does not, and we add it before the verb. So I do not work, you do not work, he does not work, she does not work, it does not work, while we do not work and you do not work. So after all the questions, we end them with question mark. Don't forget that, keep it in mind. Okay, Now we are done with the examples on all the forms of the simple present using main verb and do or does. Now the yes no questions using do and does. We will continue with the yes no questions using do and does, and we will have more example. Note those three sentences. I live in Khubar. You understand me. They study together. Those three sentences, those three examples, all of them have a main verb. في كل جملة يوجد فعل رئيسي وهو live في المثال الأول, understand in the second example, and study in the third example. So in this case we have to use do or does in order to make a question. So how do we do, or what do we do in order to make a question for the first one? So think about it. Think, what do we do for the first one? Do you have an answer in your mind? I hope that you have an answer for this, because we've explained it very much enough. So do I live in Al-Khubar? We only add do before the subject. At the beginning we add do. Because we have I, we use do. The second example, do you understand me? Again, the same thing. We do the same thing. We add do here at the beginning of the sentence. Do you understand me? So the same sentence, but we add do at the beginning and we add a question mark at the end. Sentence number 3, they study together, and do they study together? هل يدرسون سوية? Okay, again we add do at the beginning and there is a question mark. You can note that with all these examples we use do because we have I, you and they. The second group of examples, Ahmed plays football. أحمد يلعب كرة القدم. So if we want to change it into a question, we say, does he play football? Does he play football? So as you can see, we added does and we deleted the S. There is no S at the end with does. Example 2, she reads lots of books. هي تقرأ الكثير من الكتب. So to change it into a question, does she read lots of books? هل تقرأ الكثير من الكتب? As you can see, with does we delete S again. The last example, my car moves fast. My car moves fast. To make it a question, does it or does my car, does the car, does it move fast? So again we add does and we delete the S from the end of the sentence. So this is everything about yes no question, how to make a yes no question. This is all the rules. These are all the rules for this grammar for making yes no questions using do and does. So now we learned how to make questions, yes no questions in the present simple. So we make yes no questions using verb be, أفعال الكون, or using do or does. When do we use verb be? متى نستخدم أفعال الكون? We use verb be only when we have a verb be in the sentence. فقط عندما يكون عندنا فعل كون في الجملة. For example, he is a teacher. هو مدرس. So to change it into a question we say, is he a teacher? So this is how we change it into a question. So the other case, when we have a main verb, فعل رئيسي في الجملة, other than is or are, شيء آخر غير الأفعال الكون, we use do and does to make questions. Okay, so those are the rules for do and does. Now we have an exercise using do and does. So what you have to do, you have to change the following sentences into negative and the question forms. So I'll give you sentences. You have to do two things. First, change them into a question or negative, then you do the other thing. So let me show you the sentences. Peter lives with his father. Number 2, they learn Spanish. Number 3, Andrew and Martin drive to school. Number 4, Sandy's hamster lives in a cage. 5, I clean the bathroom. Number 8, Steve wears t-shirts. Number 9, the cats sit on the wall. Number 10, you speak Arabic. 11, we work in front of the computer. And 12, she plays the piano. As you can see, there's a mistake just in the numbers, so it's not a big problem. You can still do the exercises. So as you can see, if you look at all of these sentences, all of them have main verbs. كل الجمل تحتوي على أفعال رئيسية. So you have to use do or does. في هذه الحالة لا نستخدم أفعال الكون because we have a main verb. So you can now stop the video. You can stop the video. You can start making a question first or negative first. So let me show you an example before you start. An example of how to change the first one. Peter lives with his father. So we add does because we have singular third person, which is Peter. So we use does because we deal with Peter as he. So does Peter live with his father? This is the first question. Now I need you to stop the video and do the rest of the sentences. Make questions first. Now only make questions. قوموا بتحويل الجمل إلى أسئلة فقط. لا تقوموا بتحويلها إلى صيغة النفي. سنقوم بتحويلها في الخطوة التالية. So now take your time, change them, stop the video. قوموا بإيقاف عرض الفيديو لدقيقة أو دقيقتين، ثم قوموا بالانتهاء من حل هذه الجمل تحويلها إلى صيغة أسئلة، ثم سنقوم ب you can check your answers with me as I show them to you. So 1 minute, stop it and start. Okay, I hope that you have got the answers. We have the number 1 is done. Number 1 is done, and we said that as an example. Number 2, they learn Spanish. Do they learn Spanish? هل يتعلمون اللغة الإسبانية؟ Number 3, do Andrew and Martin drive to school? هل يقوم أندرو ومارتن بقيادة we mean قيادة السيارة إلى المدرسة. So we added do because we have two subjects. In the case of two subjects, we use do because they are a plural, more than one. Number 4, Sandy's hamster lives in a cage. So we use does. Does Sandy's hamster live? There is no S here. In a cage. Number 5, I clean the bathroom. Do I clean the bathroom? هل أقوم أنا بتنظيف الحمام؟ Number 8, Steve wears t-shirts. Does Steve wear t-shirts? So Steve, singular third person. Number 9, the cats sit on the wall. Cats, we have a plural, so we add do. Do the cats sit on the wall? Number 10, you speak Arabic. We change it into do you speak Arabic because we have the pronoun you. Number 11, we work in front of the computer. Do we work in front of the computer? And the last sentence, she plays the piano. Does she play the piano? And we deleted the S. Now we are finished with the questions. What I need you to do now, stop the video again. قوموا بإيقاف العرض الفيديو لدقيقة أو دقيقتين مرة ثانية and make negatives. Change those sentences into negative. Okay, 1 or 2 minutes. Now you can start. Okay, I hope that you have finished. Now, number one. Peter lives with his father. We change it, it becomes Peter does not live with his father. So we add does and not before the verb and we delete the s. They learn Spanish, they don't learn Spanish. So we can use contraction. We can use contraction by deleting O and adding apostrophe. Number 3, Andrew and Martin do not drive to school. So we also added do not before the verb. Number 4, Sandy's hamster doesn't live in a cage. فأر الهامستر الخاص بساندي لا يعيش في قفص. So here again we added does not before the verb and we deleted the s. Number 5, I clean the bathroom. I don't clean the bathroom. So I don't clean the bathroom. So here again we added don't before the verb. Number 8, Steve does not wear t-shirts. Number 9, the cats do not sit on the wall. Number 10, do you speak Arabic? You don't speak Arabic, to make it negative. Number 11, we don't work in front of the computer. نحن لا نعمل أمام الكمبيوتر. Again we added don't in front of the verb. The last sentence, she plays the piano. She doesn't play the piano, without the s in the original sentence. So this is the end of the exercise. I hope it was not difficult for you. This is the end again for this lecture. Before we finish, let me remind you about what we talked about in this lecture. We talked about a present simple, how to use a present simple, what are the uses of present simple, how to form yes-no questions in the present simple, how to add s to the verbs, and how to answer yes-no questions, how to make negatives, and how to make questions using verb to be or do or does. Okay, this is the end of this lecture, the end of lecture 3. I hope you enjoyed the lecture today with me, and I'll meet you again in lecture 4. So, goodbye for now, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.